War on Everyone is funny in the way a sketch comedy is funny, but otherwise there's not much more to it. Hiya, I'm ThatJaymsWisdom, and this week's film review is of War on Everyone, which is a dark comedy about two bad cops. So this film is all about two cops who basically are trying to make as much money as possible and are completely bad cops doing drugs, stealing off of the criminals and all that kind of thing. These two cops, of course, get themselves caught up in a bigger, grander scheme when they're trying to bust some drug dealers, and then what they're trying to do is basically steal the money from the drug dealers. The film's narrative is fairly lacking in terms of depth or breadth, really. It's all about these two cops being bad cops, and there's not really a lot else to it than that. They are trying to get rich and they are trying to make as much money as possible, but really the purpose of the plot is to facilitate a number of jokes which are very, very funny actually, but beyond that, there isn't much to this at all. The film follows two main characters, the two bad cops that I already mentioned, one of which is played by Alexander Skarsgård, and the other is played by Michael Penner. The two of them together form a kind of buddy cop duo where they bounce off of one another, but they're both actually out for the same thing. There isn't a huge amount of difference between the two. Alexander plays a much more unhinged, alcoholic type character who is a loner, has a big house and no one around him. Michael Penner, on the other hand, plays a family cop who has a wife and kids and is generally a much more likeable character and is less socially awkward than Alexander's. However, this is a case of they are as bad as each other and they both egg each other on to act outside of the law. This does mean you don't really have a straight man of the group, which means that they are both kind of the off-the-wall character. The straight men of the group are actually the criminals that they come into contact with, one of whom is played by Malcolm Barrett and the other played by David Wilmot. These two offer a lot of comedy to the proceedings, and it is funniest when they're both involved. And that's probably one of the best ways to describe this film, talking about it from a perspective of each individual scene and the individual parts of it, because it does come across quite like a sketch comedy in that certain points there are punchlines that really work, but as an overall narrative they're not informing each other so much. This leads to a film that is actually much funnier than the trailer made out, even though it's actually more shallow, and there were a number of times in the cinema where I actually laughed out loud at some of the jokes. So overall, my review of this film would probably be that yes, it's very funny, but it's also very forgettable. So if you've got time and you want to just go and sit there and have a laugh for a bit, go and check it out. But if you want something a little bit more meaningful or substantive in your life, this isn't really for you. And that's it. So thanks for watching. I've been ThatJaymsWisdom. Keep smiling and thank you very kindly, and I hope to see you all next week. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe, come back for more videos, and you can check out all of my reviews on Twitter where I do my weekly film tweets.